Fujifilm's ascent in the photo-video marketplace has been undeniable and steep over the last 10 to 12 years, and I don't think it's any coincidence as to why. We've all grown tired of sharp, clinical, and perfect, and instead we're seeking out manual, nostalgic, and evocative. The creative marketplace has changed, and so too has the actual products we use to create. The photo and video marketplace itself is dynamic, and the last 10 years have proven that we're looking for something outside of that realm of perfect. I think this is an essential way to contextualize Fujifilm's place in the marketplace and to evaluate any of its cameras, as I aim to do today. I've had the Fujifilm X-T5 for the better part of 2 years. I've worked with its ins, its outs. I've embraced what makes it unique as a part of Fujifilm's lineup and its contrasts with the rest of the marketplace. And I want to talk about why exactly I've continued using it for so long and how I've felt about it during this time. Now, at the end of the video, I'm going to discuss a major change in my photo lineup, in the gear that I'm using, and I'll explain a little bit why that change has happened. So hold tight until then. So first and foremost, rather than actually digging into, is this spec as good as this spec on this camera? Can the photos stand up to the work created by another system? I'm going to answer all of this in one really simple question and answer. Are Fujifilm cameras, and is the X-T5 specifically, a professional enough camera to function in the modern professional marketplace? Can you use it as a professional photographer? It seems like such a simple question, but I guarantee you that many of you will be in the comments telling me how wrong I am for giving you this answer. Yes, absolutely. The X-T5 can more than stand up to the professional needs of photographers. It has the resolution to print large. It has autofocus that's good enough for wedding work, for street photography, for headshots, for the vast majority of professional scenarios. It has the video capabilities necessary to get a YouTuber like me off the ground, and it has the handling and robustness to survive almost any adventure or project that you're going to use the camera for. So quite simply, it's more than professional enough to be a professional's camera. I don't know how many times I've said professional at this point, but I'm starting to do that thing where you hear a word too much and suddenly it stops sounding like a word. But as a professional claiming the X-T5 is a professional's camera, where have I actually taken it? And why should you trust me? Well, the Fujifilm X-T5 has accompanied me to Peru for an extended month-long trekking adventure. I produced professional work that was then used in marketing materials for 2 separate companies that produced professional video work that you guys have likely watched on this channel. Those images have been widely used. It's accompanied me to Kyrgyzstan for 2 weeks of horse trekking and foot trekking in heat that reaches above 30 degrees Celsius, in massive storms that have rolled through. It's helped me to create video and photo work that again is circulating professional circles, being used for marketing materials. It came with me to Australia, where it was used largely for personal work, but with a couple of creative projects in mind. And it's gone to virtually every corner of New Zealand, where I've used it largely as a secondary system in, I can't even tell you how many environments. In fact, I have filmed something like 60 videos here on YouTube, and the X-T5 has been used for every single one of them. As a professional, can you trust that my use of the X-T5 actually pushes it hard enough to quantify whether it's a professional's camera? Yeah, you can. I have pushed this camera as much as I think most people would. Now, after nearly 2 years, I think I have to answer the question, does the vintage aesthetic wear off? Does it become a hindrance rather than a help? Does it stop being inspiring? Quite frankly, no, and I've never really cared all that much. Now, I made a video, gotta be close to a year ago, about the art of illusion, and that's the idea that Fujifilm is alluding to this other time in photographic history, that they're building cameras that speak to a base of users that lust for the way a camera used to feel. Now, my argument is largely that yes, they've done a good job at that. They've made cameras with functioning dials that can be relied on, that don't take in sand and water, and that largely make the process quite fun to do. But the other part of my argument is that it's not actually essential to use the camera in this like vintage way, right? We can keep using it in a fast-paced environment if we want to. We can kind of simplify the camera. That's something that I did a lot over the last 2 years in order to use it in spaces that I just wasn't looking for an aesthetic element towards. In places where I was looking for a camera to just be a professional tool for me. Now, after 2 years, I'm not tired of the vintage aesthetic. I actually quite enjoy it. I think it's really, really fun, and it is one of the reasons to go to Fujifilm. But quite frankly, it comes second to the robustness and the build quality of the cameras and the way they feel in my hand. I think Fuji is built well. I think it is refined, and I think it has this balance point between aesthetic and function that no other camera I've used has quite hit. I talked in the past about how the Nikon ZF falls short on this, and I stand by that. I have not used something like the OM3, but I believe that that would be somewhere in between the ZF and the X-T5 in terms of build aesthetic and reliable usage. So the vintage aesthetic, this thing, this art of illusion that Fujifilm has grasped at for so long now, have I ever gotten tired of it? The answer is no. But is it core to my experience? No, I don't think it really actually is. And that's kind of an interesting thing when you really think about it. It begs the question, why use this camera over others? And ultimately, the answer to that is going to be largely quite personal. So the X-T5 is professional. It's capable, its vintage aesthetic is timeless in my opinion, and I've had very little reason to look past the camera as an excellent option. Why then can I say right now that I don't own a single Fujifilm camera and that I just sold the X-T5? Well, it doesn't boil down to an evaluation of the X-T5 itself. It boils down to something that I really want to talk about in a separate video, but that I can summarize right in this very moment as resources need to be spent in most effective areas possible. And owning the X-T5 was not an effective use of those funds for me. I have another camera system. I rely on it for a lot of my professional work. I use it, and not just because it's better than the X-T5, but because I truly love the cameras. I think Nikon, the other system, is excellent. I love using them. And the X-T5, while being an excellent camera, didn't add anything to what I was able to create with the Nikons. Now, by selling the X-T5, I was able to invest in something that, again, I'll talk about in another video, that will allow me to create more images. It will improve my portfolio, the diversity of the experiences I can introduce my camera to, the kinds of narratives I can ultimately be a part of and convey through visual storytelling. And that is so much more valuable than owning kit that I might love, but that isn't adding to my portfolio in the end. This is not a knock on Fujifilm. Like I said, this whole video has been pretty positive because the cameras are excellent. I've had a lot of you reach out to me and say that my videos have encouraged you to buy a Fujifilm camera. And I don't want you to watch this and think that I led you astray. But I have to think about my interests as a creative. I have to think about the narratives I want to be a part of. And at this moment in time, the money from the X-T5 is going to go towards something far more compelling than the ownership of the X-T5. I hope that makes some sense. So guys, the X-T5, it is an excellent camera. It's lasted a long time for me, and I am really sad to say goodbye to it. It takes beautiful images, the video quality is amazing, and it's been a companion, a reliable one, and a tough one. I hope those of you that have chosen to get that camera enjoy it. I hope that you find the stories you're hoping to find with it. And if you ever come to that moment where you think moving on might allow you to actually grow as a photographer, I encourage you to take some of the emotion out of it and realize that the only thing we have at the end of our time are the stories we were a part of. The camera, as fun and as special as it might be, is never going to be as special as the stories you capture with it. So make sure to keep your priorities in line. I hope this video was interesting in some ways, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Have a great one. Talk to you soon.